As Summer League comes to an end, NBA fans have finally had a chance to watch a couple of their top draft picks in action, and hopefully, some concerns and ambiguities surrounding their teams have been soothed. We had a chance to watch guys like Kel'el Ware make their case for sleeper pick of the draft, or players like Matas Buzelis and Ron Holland ball out so well they made us question the canceling of the G League Ignite. But along with the good, we've also seen some picks called into question, mainly Alexander Sarr, the 2 pick who had a couple of vintage Tony Snell performances, and Bronny, who began Summer League extremely slow before picking it up and actually having some pretty solid games. Now, the reason for his improved play can be debated, because some people believe he just got more comfortable and gained confidence, while I personally believe he saw the clip of Jaylen Brown courtside with Angel Reese and Kassir and realized he couldn't let the Dirty Mac slide. Regardless, Summer League is an awesome opportunity for recent draft picks, and it allows them to get a taste of NBA basketball while fans are given more hoops. A true win-win. However, that isn't the best part of Summer League to me. While it is true that for the most part, people flock to Summer League to watch the NBA's newest additions, there are only 60 picks in each draft, and there are roughly 390 players that play during Summer League. And the vast majority of these guys are players that have either gone undrafted this year and are trying to claim a spot on the roster, or they're G Leaguers who are using the Summer League as an opportunity to launch a pro career in the league or overseas. So rather than giving you guys the same tired, brawny Alex Sarr take, I'm gonna shine a light on some G Leaguers and second-year players that dominated Summer League. So with all that being said, here are 3 guys that owned Summer League this year. Player 1, Josh Christopher. Josh freaking Christopher. Joshua Evan Christopher. MVP. Josh Christopher is one of those hoopers that I just have a special appreciation for. The reason behind this is that he's a main part of what I believe to be the greatest high school basketball class of all time, the class of 2020. Josh attended Mayfair High School, and he was one of those guys that was on every clouded high school basketball page you can think of. Overtime, Baller Vision, Ball is Life, Slam, all of it. Josh was really one of them ones in high school. Coming in as the 11th ranked recruit, he played his college basketball at Arizona State, where a pretty inefficient shooting stroke from 3 combined with a bad regular season record and a nagging leg injury led to him being drafted 24th to the Rockets in 2021. And it's here where Josh's limitations would really become apparent, as throughout his time in the league, and specifically with the Rockets, we found out that his 3-point shooting was worse than I suppose anyone could have imagined. In his rookie season, Christopher shot an abysmal 29.6% from 3, and this was compounded by his inability to play make, which made it difficult for him to find his way onto the court with the Rockets. This all came to a head when Josh was moved in the Dillon Brooks trade and subsequently waived by Memphis. And then, after a very brief 2-way stint with Utah, Josh found himself without an NBA team and battling in the G League. So this summer, Josh found himself with the Miami Heat Summer League squad, and it absolutely looked like all that work he put in the G League wasn't just for show, because he was absolutely hooping for Miami, showcasing that microwave scoring touch that made him a highly touted player, and using his athleticism and physicality to set up some really amazing dunks and plays. But all of this stuff was a given for Josh, and the real revelation was his insanely improved shooting stroke from behind the line. And I'll preface these stats I'm about to give by saying this is only the Summer League, all of this could translate or none of it could translate in the league. He averaged 19 points while shooting an unreal 54% from the field and 52% from 3, while he helped lead Miami to a 6-0 record en route to a Summer League chip. His best performances included a 20-point outing against Boston where he went 3 for 3 from 3, a 23-point outing against Golden State, and his 23-point explosion against OKC. In that game against OKC, he put up 20 points in the 4th quarter while hitting a game-high 6 threes, some of which were insanely difficult. And speaking of 4th quarter explosions, Josh's heroic behavior in the 4th became routine for him, and he microwaved himself all the way to a Summer League MVP based off of his ability to heat up when he was needed most. Although it's an extremely limited sample size, and it very well could be that he just had a great couple of games, this level of production, explosive scoring, and improved shooting certainly makes it appear as though he'd be useful on a 2-way somewhere. And seeing as Josh is a guy who didn't necessarily go undrafted, but does share that similar story of hardship and difficulty carving out a role, I feel like he may have a real home with Miami. So even though Josh still needs to work on that tunnel vision when he has the ball, that level of physicality, defensive drive, and potential scoring ability definitely makes him one of the best stories of Summer League. This brings us to player 2, Julian Strawther. A couple of weeks ago, I made a video entitled What Are GMs Thinking?, wherein I tried to highlight some free agents and list out some potential landing spots for them around the league. One team I highlighted was the Denver Nuggets, and I said that they could use some microwave scoring and shooting off the bench based off their loss of KCP and their obvious lack of bench depth. And while their acquisition of Russell Westbrook certainly did aid in my change of heart today, the main reason I shifted my tune is that in 2 games, Julian Strawther looked like he had somehow overnight transformed into everything Denver wanted Bones Highland to be. And trust me, as an ardent Bones Highland truther, that is not an easy thing to say. But in his 2 Summer League outings, Strawther looked like probably the most NBA ready guy that we've seen all summer. Strawther was drafted 29th in the 2023 NBA draft to the Nuggets, in a move that shocked some people on draft night, since he was projected to go in the 2nd round on most draft boards. Unfortunately, since he was on the defending champ squad, as a rookie he was mostly relegated to the bench, and his averages of 4.5 points on 36% from the field and 29% from 3 are mainly due to low minutes and a knee injury that really derailed his rookie campaign. But as a rookie, Strawther did have a handful of performances where he looked like the 2 guard of the future for Denver, like his 20-point preseason debut against Phoenix, or his 20-point performance against Atlanta where he shot 50% from the field and went 6 for 11 from 3. But to me, the most telling performance from Strawther in his rookie campaign, and the reason I'm recanting my call for Denver to acquire a scoring wing, is his 21-point performance against New Orleans, where he went 5 for 9 from 3 and shot 61% from the field, all in only 19 minutes. That type of microwave, quick insert scoring touch, which I'm evidently so fond of, is what I feel Denver needed this postseason. And before Summer League, I would have said that while Strawther has that potential, banking on it in year 2 is a pretty big risk. But in this year's Summer League, he appeared as an entirely new and more NBA-ready player, and I for one loved it. In 2 games, he averaged a league-high 28.5 points on 42% from the field and 41% from 3 on 11 attempts a game. And while his scoring and assist numbers most certainly are something to write home about, we've seen time and time again that Summer League production doesn't necessarily translate to NBA success. For me, it was the fashion in which Strawther was scoring, because all of his buckets genuinely looked like they could translate within Denver's offense. Especially with his ability to quickly heat up from 3, he'll definitely find a lot of open windows behind the arc playing with Russ and Joker. And Strawther will most certainly make their jobs easier, cause some of these threes he was shooting from the parking lot, and at 6'7", he showcased the willingness to cut into open windows and execute some pretty crafty finishes, especially with that floater touch. So for Denver fans, and guys like myself who just enjoy watching pure hoopers, Julian Strawther might be the next big thing coming next season, especially with a lot of rotational minutes seemingly coming his way. And for player 3, we have DJ Stewart. DJ Stewart is yet another player that I have a somewhat vested interest in because he's yet another member of that elite high school class of 2020. But Stewart differs from Josh Christopher and Sharif Cooper and other guys that were the quote-unquote faces of that class, because unlike them, his rise to the top in the national scene was a bit more sudden, and I think that may have affected the way his career panned out. DJ was a point guard for the legendary Whitney Young High School in Chicago, and according to Rivals, he was a player who, after shooting up the rankings as a sophomore, dropped down to being the 63rd ranked player in the class of 2020. And while 63rd is by no means a bad rank, and it's higher than I was ever ranked, following an insane run in the summer of 2019, he shot back up the rankings list to 35, and a huge reason for this was his elite play at Peach Jam. DJ was absolutely cooking everything in front of him, putting 24 on Josh Christopher and a 31-point 12-rebound double-double on ALT, which featured Sharif Cooper and Brandon Boston. Bro went on a generational run, and by the end of Peach Jam, not only was he a 5-star, but he'd also picked up and soon after accepted an offer to play at Duke. DJ's meteoric rise is literally like something out of a movie. However, it feels like this accelerated success and quick push onto the national scene may have put him on a trajectory he wasn't necessarily ready for. When he went to Duke, he didn't actually play bad. In fact, he played quite good, averaging 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists while shooting 42% from the field and 34% from 3. His numbers weren't bad by any means, and on top of this, he was actually a pretty decent defender. So with all of his numbers and shooting capabilities, it raises the question of why his career has gone the way it's gone. Well, Stewart was undersized for the league, and his lack of rim finishing caused him to go undrafted. And as a point guard, while he was by no means a bad passer or creator, an extra year would have allowed him to build on his playmaking and allow scouts to become more familiar with his game. But DJ can't be blamed for taking a chance on his dream. And after he went undrafted, he stuck around in the G League, not only grinding for a spot on an NBA roster, but vastly improving on his playmaking, finishing, and most important, his pace and vision. So when he signed to play with his home team Bulls for the Summer League, I was expecting him to ball out, but even I was shocked at what he did. Because DJ came out and looked like an entirely different player, who not only kept that electric scoring touch that allowed him to cook EYBL all those years ago, but added in an extremely polished and patient pick and roll game. All of these skills were on full display during his monster 37-point outing against the Hawks, where he went 8 for 13 from 3, 11 for 19 from the field, and had 7 assists that all showcased his new and improved pick and roll field. Not to mention, he also hit a game winner in overtime of that game to knock off the Hawks and their #1 pick. DJ seems like a guy who lives for that moment, and the idea that 5 years after his big summer in a tournament that put him on the scene, he'd have a chance to do it all again to earn his first NBA contract is truly inspiring stuff. Following this game, DJ was signed to his home team Bulls, and seeing as how Chicago is in the midst of a blow-it-up period, I could see him potentially getting some opportunities while he splits his time between the G League and the NBA. So don't be surprised if he has a random 20-point outburst on a call-up game from Chicago's G League affiliate, because his new and improved version has shades of Tyrese Maxey and Emmanuel Quickley. And if his history is anything to go off of, he's a magnet for electrifying performances. But with the DJ Stewart bit out of the way, we've reached the end of the video. I just want to say again, Summer League doesn't translate to on-court NBA production in any way. So the same way we shouldn't write off players for being bad in Summer League, we shouldn't automatically assume that they'll kill in the NBA based off of Summer League. These were just some guys that I really enjoyed watching, so that's going to do it for this one. If you liked the video, please like the video, sub, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.